reflective at some point in the next couple weeks and maybe revisit this a couple weeks into school when we're sort of in, or that first week, that first staff meeting when we are feeling a little stressed out. Because here you have a chart that's sort of the possible teaching assets and the possible teaching liabilities and things that you may need to practice, okay? Another way is at your worst and at your best. And then there's this chart, and so there's just kind of a lot of ways to explore these.
When did you give these to us?
Yesterday, maybe a whole stack.
That's right.
Okay? And this one is, if you choose this, and this is your personality, perhaps when you're stressed, you do this, and if you aren't stressed, you do this, and here's some struggles, and here's what you need. Here's what you need from others. So, and here's what you need to work on, and this is what you long for. This is that only if mindset. This is what you long for. Listen to this. If you're the pleaser, this is what you long for. To do what you want while others clap. For others to like you and accept you and be flexible. For others to take care of you and make houses go away. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Not your day-to-day, but only if. And for control, only if. To be in control even though others can be better and smarter. To get respect and cooperation and loyalty. For others to have faith in you and give you permission to do what you want. To have choices and go at your own pace. Can you hear children needing these from us too? Because they have tough cards. Meaningless and unimportant, the lions. To do it best, to get appreciation, recognition, and spiritual connection, to be told you're right. And that stress and pain. For things to be as easy as they look, to be left alone, to have your own space, you don't want to argue.
This is cool.
Interesting. So what I'd love you guys to do is really explore these. And it's almost like the more I read, the more I overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's okay, we play all the cards. But then do some self-recording. Now that you've done kind of general liabilities and assets, maybe you can think about what you tend to throw as those liabilities and assets when you're being a turtle or when you're being a lion. And then share these with each other at a staff meeting. And I know that's kind of intimate, and I was thinking about this the other day. I was drawing concentric circles. I was like, well, when we're getting to know a team, because I feel like you guys seem to really want connection amongst each other to tap into everybody sort of spearheading this awesome project you have going on with the startup. And so there's this first layer of just your likes, like, oh, I love soda, I love these sugar cookies, right? Or, oh, I loved that movie, or
Sugar cookies. Did I miss
Swig.
out on this?
We're going to swig on it.
Oh.
Friday. Yeah, it's these likes, and you use doTERRA, so do I. And it's just these sort of on the surface things we discover about each other, we make connection, right? And then when we dig a little deeper, we're sort of exposing our personality, right? And then if we go deeper, we're really exposing our day-to-day MO. And then when we go deeper and we feel safe, we're exposing the ugly side of us. This is what I'm gonna throw under a lot of pressure. And it doesn't mean that it's okay, it doesn't mean that it's not okay. It's just, this is what I'm gonna throw, and this is what I might need from you, and this is what I'm working on. You'll probably keep throwing it, but you'll learn through discovery to throw it to lesser degrees. It's like that, just reaching a point of awareness. Oh, so I'm throwing my superiority card right now. Yeah, that feels really good. Yeah, it's gonna invite a little bit of ugly from others. Am I willing to take that on today? Yep. I'm gonna have some apologies to make tomorrow. But think about that awareness. That's awesome. Yeah.
This sounds like it could be good for dating as well.
Yeah, because our partners
Yeah, I wish I had
throw
some
cards, our kids throw cards. What'd you say?
I said I wish I had someone today. That sounds so snotty.
You know, and the other thing I really liked the way this was written, over here, was, really, I'm just going to read you right out of this book. It says, for example, if my method of operation, just my normal day-to-day, is pleasing, I will do pleasing in a more rational way, while someone with the top card of pleasing may have some more irrational or only if thinking going on. Okay? I'm okay only if I'm pleasing. However, if my top card is superiority and I start feeling stressed, I don't care if you're getting pleased or not. I will be okay only if things are done my way to make them more meaningful. Do you see how these play off of each other? So if someone's a day-to-day pleaser, you know, we're usually okay about pleasing them because they're so nice. It's just when I'm throwing my top card, there's where that FU comes out. Okay. I shouldn't say FU on.
We did.
Fun. It stands for, you just forgot the N.
Okay, so would you like to see a child version of this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me just clear my decks here. And here's where that question that was asked earlier, Sarah, about like how do we forgive ourselves? I think part of our forgiving is that always seeing the positive sides of things and the not so positive side. You know, I like this. Like, what is it going to invite from others? Can I deal with that or not? You know, is that the movement I'm trying to make in my life or not? Yeah, is that where I want to go? Okay, so we don't want to get into this place of labeling, kids labeling, because as adults we're able to say, this is not who I am, it tends to be what I do under pressure. That's very liberating, right? It's not who you are, it's what you do under pressure. We all do something a bit dysfunctional under pressure. So, instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say, you know, how many of you think there's always a right answer and a wrong answer? Okay? How many of you think that there's only one right way to see something? Maybe how many of you sometimes feel a little embarrassed when you feel like everybody has the right answer and you don't?
Are we supposed to raise our hand?
That's good. So we're going to do a little activity today where we're going to get an opportunity to think about more than one right answer, that there really isn't maybe a right answer, but there's just a lot of different ways to look at things, okay? So I have some animals here. If you could be one of these animals, maybe for a day, a lion, a chameleon, an eagle, or a turtle. If you could be one of these animals just for a day. I want you to think about what you might choose and why. I want you to think beyond, because you think it's a pretty animal or because it's your favorite animal, but what is it about that animal that makes you want to be that animal for a day? Okay, pause. For time, I'm going to now talk you through the rest of this, if that's okay. But what you would do is leave it at that. See that only if coming out? If you could just be this animal for one day, you know, that's sort of leaning, you know, we're not trying to get them to their top card. The goal here really is perspective, like seeing that there's positive and negatives, or there's more than one, there's no wrong answer, or there's no right answer. So what you do is you get them in groups, and the people that chose lion are going to make a chart that you probably have prepared ahead of time. Why we want to be a lion. And then they write down all the things that are so awesome about lions. And then they write not why it's bad about the others, just why we didn't choose chameleon, why we didn't choose eagle, why we didn't choose turtle, or why we don't want to be, either way, okay? And they're just And then another group is why we chose chameleon, and then you're gonna have them fill out the 3 others, why they didn't choose the others, okay? And then they just get to share.
Cool.
Isn't that great? So then you can get back and say, isn't it interesting, all these different perspectives, all the interesting ways to see why people choose what they do and how there's such an interesting way to look at things differently. So that's that laying the ground of respecting differences. And in this album, it has examples, actual student examples. So here's a group of why they want to be a chameleon. They can change, flexible, adaptable, hide easily to watch things. They're cute, they're harmless. Okay, why we don't want to be a lion. Loud, power hungry, meat eaters, lazy, wanna be king, females do all the work. Why we didn't choose to be an eagle. Lonely, they're bold, unapproachable. I know, they're so cute. Unapproachable. They live in rocky places and they push their babies out. Turtle, they hide, they avoid things. They're slow, they bite, they have to carry their house over everywhere. It's just interesting how they kind of go on. Yeah.
That's pretty insightful.
Yeah. So if you do this with your younger kids, you might need a little facilitation on the writing, right? And I would love to see what responses you get from your kids doing that with the young ones, because I've only done it with older.
Can we make sure that we have like all of these written on the tools and exercises?
Yeah, would you like to do that? Would you like to go at them right now?
Um,
This one's called It's a Jungle Out There. But Jen and I spoke this morning about, I think, are we going to make a purchase of this album? I mean, of this, well, album, but of this workbook. It's too good, I think not to, right?
I want it.
Okay, great. So, good stuff. That's top card. Self-reflection. When you do an activity like this with kids, what are they learning on the green list?
On the green list, they are learning to, let's see, perspective. I think they're learning other people's perspectives because they don't have to necessarily agree with them, but they can see that everybody has their own perspective of things.
We're really getting that agree to disagree.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm looking, let's see.
It's hard to read my writing. This one's covered, but it says accepting.
Yeah. Well, and they're collaborating to come up with a list together. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they're aware of their self and others. And also they're able to, be aware of the people who might share similar feelings and emotions in the classroom so that they know they'd be understood by that person maybe a little bit more. It could be humbling, and it could also teach somebody who's not humbling the concept of being humble.
What would be the value of maybe doing this activity a month later?
Their perspectives might change.
Yeah, they might choose a different animal. Or what if there's somebody who I really don't think I like that much, and we make our groups and, oh, we're in the same group. Or, oh, I don't know you that well, and suddenly we're collaborating, so.
It might create friendships.
Yeah.
It also can build imagination, imagining yourself as an animal.
Yeah.
I mean, on just the surface level, that's
Neat.
fun.
Yeah, and you being the writer, what fun to extend that is to a language activity.
Well, and it could also be pretty honest to a point of how they view that animal
Uh-huh.
and some of the qualities that come with
Yeah,
that animal.
and they might learn more about
They
the
might,
animals.
well, they might learn more about themselves. Like, oh, yeah, I am kind of bossy. I am a lion. Like,
If you want a fun writing lesson where they're learning how to write dialogue, you actually could put 2 people together, an eagle and a lion, or a chameleon and a turtle, or 3 people together, or 4 people together. And you each give them a different colored marker and this is assuming they can write.
okay.
So this would, I would say this is probably like a 3rd and up, okay? You give them a larger piece of paper and you just give them 2 colored markers. And you say, okay, you're an eagle, you're a lion, and you guys are talking about something, and you might give them a prompt of what they might be talking about. You're talking about how you want to spend time together on the weekend. or you're talking about why you like being a lion and why you like being a turtle. Okay? And so then in dialogue, we usually go back and forth. So you just, hey, how you doing today, Leo the lion, you know, or I think you were the lion. How are you doing today, Tommy Turtle? And Tommy Turtle might respond in the way that we've thought about turtles. Well, I'm good, but I'm just feeling kind of lonely, or I'm feeling kind of tired. I just want to be by myself today. You know, and then how would a lion, based on what we wrote, how might a lion respond? And this back and forth, and it's kind of a fun, if the goal was dialogue, so that by the end of this dialogue, I have a sense of sort of why you chose lion and why you chose turtle.
And the lion would probably be pushy and try to get them to come out of their shell, right? To get them to come out and do what they want to do because there's a king.
Or if you're planning your weekend, the lion might be a little bit bossy about what's going to happen.
Right.
So be careful about using the word bossy, but the lion might feel really strongly about being heard. And then to take it into the writing place, because we've written in different colors. Okay, in writing, we don't write in two different colors. We use quotation marks. So what you're going to do is now you each take a black pen and put quotes around each time you spoke. Bam, 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 okay? Now, then the next thing we do in writing is if someone were to walk up, now I can see the start and stop of someone and the start and stop of someone. But I still don't know who the someones are yet. So now we're going to add a new piece. Said the lion, replied the turtle, or I'm doing this backwards. And initially they're going to use said, and then you might now on a different, these might be multiple days of lessons. So in this lesson prior to doing that, you might say, you know what, said is dead and we're having a funeral, let's go outside and bury said. What are all the different ways we can say beside, say said, and replied, answered, remarked, spoke back, all the different things. And then the final piece is, it might be the third day, is between who said it, between what was said and who said it, we put a comma. And then what you can do is cut those up and decide, sometimes in writing we say who's saying it first. And so then you can actually move around your, pieces. And then in the final thing, they write it as a paragraph.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun way to introduce dialogue writing. But it's a fun way to connect this social emotional piece to the curricular piece.
What can I name this?
It's a jungle out there. And maybe in parentheses, which animal do you want to be for the day, or animal for the day, or if you want to write turtle, lion, however you're going to remember that best. Okay, good stuff. Thanks, guys, for participating in that. All right. I'm working from 3 manuals, so it's just a lot to keep track of. Thank you for being patient for a minute. Okay, I'd like to give you another little activity just to clear our minds because we're going to do something different. And I usually do this with kids with an Andes Mint, but it just struck me today, we're being a bit mindful today, and I thought we'll do a mindful exercise, but I'm going to do it with a little mint that's not a doTERRA mint. This might be a little too much for kids. These are little doTERRA mints. But does anybody